Goranci is waiting for us.
Yeah. The writer Jana Strdina says that Goranci is a beautiful mountain in Slovenia that has never revealed all its secrets to anyone.
Secrets. Do you think it will help us reveal more about ourselves, to find out why we have such problems with people?
With the same ones. Strdina wrote about fairies. They were supposed to help.
What's going on with these two men? They learned the wrong patterns of how to talk in their childhood, with themselves and with others. Because they unwittingly repeat them, they are more and more unhappy.
How is your father? When we were in high school, you didn't get along.
Even now we don't.
I remember how he was waiting for you in front of the pub. After many glasses of wine, he came out happy and he started shouting at you. We ran away. He took off his shoe and threw it at you, but he hit our classmate.
I was so ashamed. Then he didn't speak to me for a few days. He criticizes me even now. I will never be good enough for him. I freeze in front of him to this day.
And I never knew in what condition my father would come home. When he was drunk enough, he started beating me. I kept running away. I tried to save myself.
You are still running today. You prefer to be alone.
You were such a diligent and obedient child. You learned that it was best to be quiet and do what you were asked. You began to conform and to obey. You realized that the best way to survive was to feel nothing and want nothing.
I was ignored at home. For years, I wanted a model train for New Year's, but I got pajamas, socks and underpants.
But my dad just lectured me about how he sacrificed for the family, how he worked hard and how I didn't bother. I didn't want presents at all.
When your father criticized you, you started to believe that you are bad. When he laughed at you, you thought you were insignificant. When he ignored you, you were convinced that you were worthless. As a child, you felt helpless, unheard, and unaccepted. And that child still lives inside you. You don't want anyone else to hurt this child. That is why you have created your false image, which you maintain with two masks. The first mask is the mask of the perfect man. In front of people, you put on the mask of the helpful man that everyone will love. You play your kindness perfectly, but it's all just a game of passive aggression.
Do you still buy every coworker a birthday present and invite the employees to lunch on such occasions?
They like that.
It suits you to be admired and praised, but when it's not your way, you ignore people, you humiliate them. How many times have you been reported for mobbing?
What kind of mobbing? They should start working. It matters to me that it's done. We're not at the work to chat. We're at the work to work.
To do as you want.
That I lead? I can do that, even at home.
What more can you do? When you feel ignored and disrespected, the little boy in you suffocates again in the belief that he's unworthy, unimportant, rejected. Your other mask comes to the surface. You scream, you shout, attack, judge. You never want to feel the way you felt as a child again, so you want to have power and control over people. You protect yourself with your aggressive behavior.
Do you remember when you and your coworker agreed to finish a presentation for the next day after work? He wasn't there. The next day you went crazy. You were in the corridor shouting not to come near you. You didn't want to hear what had happened to him.
Yeah, he took his mom to hospital because she had fallen. I wasn't able to listen.
And when your wife forgot to buy meat for the picnic?
I went crazy. I had the feeling that I wasn't important enough for her anymore, that she had forgotten.
Your wife and your co-workers can't repair the damage you suffered in your childhood. They cannot give you complete protection from the pain of the past. Only you can do that. Only you can protect the little boy inside you who so longs for security, for acceptance, for love.
But you withdraw, and it's as if you don't exist.
I like it this way. I have peace.
You're at home with the beer in your hand.
At least I don't have to deal with other people.
Do you remember the last call for European funding? You did everything yourself, even though your colleagues should have helped you.
But who is going to explain and persuade them what they have to do? I really don't want to deal with them.
They have become used to you still doing things for them.
But what I should do?
Set boundaries and stand up for yourself.
You'd rather be invisible, so you experience feelings of abandonment over and over again. You wander alone in your own world where no one can hurt you.
Well, what do we both do? I manipulate or I attack. You withdraw or you adapt. When I want to tell you something, you don't listen.
Neither do you.
Let's stay with you. When I ask you where we want to go for a beer, you say don't care. When I want to tell you something about myself, you change the subject. But when I ask you something, you answer with one sentence and then everything is silent.
What should I say?
Anything, just not like in high school. You just kept reading, and then you got so smart that we ran away from you. You said you were an intellectual. You were full of quotes. But where were you? Just you.
Instead of understanding the person, you do the only thing you know. You observe everything from a distance and don't let anyone get close to you. You cannot have a genuine and spontaneous conversation. Or you start to accommodate people, to please them. The little boy in you hopes that they will then like him. In both cases, you are not there. You feel real when you are alone. Your passivity distances you more and more from people. I know you are not happy.
And what now?
Think about your communication. How do you talk to people?
Well, I speak quite loudly or I pretend to be friendly, although I don't mean it that way.
You use aggressive or passive-aggressive behavior. You wear two masks.
I'm quiet or I withdraw, but sometimes I want to be respected. I want them to see my professionalism.
You choose passive or passive-aggressive behavior.
What does it all that mean?
All three of these behaviors, aggressive, passive, and passive-aggressive, are defensive behaviors to defend or protect ourselves. Miloš is a leader who shouts or even insults strong or weak.
He wants to show his strength.
But he shows his weakness, his powerlessness. He feels threatened. So he defends himself by fighting, by behaving aggressively to protect himself, his little boy inside him.
When you hit, it sounds, how many times have I said you can't do that? I keep explaining, but you can't make any sense of it. So you shout it at your sons and your wife.
You either run away, you withdraw, or you keep quiet. Sometimes you say something so that I never know what you want to say. You usually say, I don't want to be misrepresented. I have nothing against you. I don't know how to say it.
That sounds terrible. What about passive-aggressive behavior?
If aggression is an overt attack, passive aggression is a covert attack. We use a double message. We speak kindly, but we keep our anger inside and think our own thoughts, and we also start to manipulate.
I would call it hypocrisy. I never know where I stand. You start, if you had done as we agreed, I wouldn't have reacted like that. After all these years, you know how to work. You've been with us long enough. You were saying that to your coworkers when I came to your office.
And you insist the instructions should be followed. Let's try a little harder. Remember when we were installing the new kitchen at your place?
Let's look at the most common mistakes of these three defensive behaviors. We all have them. You are sometimes aggressive, Samo. And you, Milos, are sometimes silent.
Oh, very rarely.
The most common mistake of aggressive behavior is attacking the personality. We use judgments, reproaches, insults, threats. We criticize people. We want to prove to them that they are to blame for the situation. We rarely give specific information or facts. When we are passive, we speak vaguely. We use fillers, for example, well, basically, I meant, we often apologize excessively. We believe that others are more important than us. We find fault in ourselves. We are unable to stand up for ourselves, to build boundaries or say no. We use passive-aggressive behavior when we provoke, ridicule, are sarcastic, lie, play the victim, gossip, seek revenge, ignore, sulk. In all three cases, we want to protect ourselves, our inner child. Both of you long for real relationships, long for what you didn't have as children. You need empathy and compassion, first for yourselves.
Well, there are moments when I hate myself very much.
When I can't even bear myself.
You are starting your journey, which will be full of exploration. You live in two worlds. In your inner world of memories, experiences, thoughts, emotions, feelings, and in the outer world with other people. Start by exploring your inner world. See you soon.